So I would like to go ahead and call upon our panelists now. I know we had a lot of fun, but now it's back to serious learning and business. So let me take a moment to call upon Captain Kisan Karnad, the General Manager of FSM, who is our moderator for today. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome him on stage. We also have Dr. Vijay Belani, who is the founder and MD at BSMC. Captain Naresh Kumar, Vice President, Marine Insurance Ace Insurance Broker Private Limited. Captain Kulwant Singh Budwal, Chairman of the Maritime Training and Research Foundation. Ms. Dipti K, Operations Head, JM Bakshi. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome our panelists on stage. We also have our Seafarer. Yes, I do have, yes. I'm sorry. Yes. All right. We also have a seafarer, Hiren. Yes. Please, Hiren, join us on stage. Our seafarer who will also be a part of this panel. It's over to Captain Kisan Karnad. I will have the microphones being given by sound, and we can just begin.
Well, good morning, everyone. And after this very invigorating video, I think which we all enjoyed, we are going to touch upon a very, very serious topic, which is fit for duty, fit for risk, the new reality of seafarer medicals, claims, and operational liability. So, as a moderator, I would like to see all the angles of this topic. And I think the panel here represents different angles in a very beautiful way. So let's get down right to it. Since we are talking about seafarer medicals, it all starts with when the seafarer goes for medicals. So we have Dr. Belani, a very respected and very, very experienced medical practitioner. So I think just as a preface, most of us in the room would have either faced a medical situation personally on board or handled it from ashore in various ways. So Dr. Belani, let's start off with, we hear things like India is the diabetes capital and, the way things are going. In your opinion, professional opinion, what has been the trend since you have been in this field? And more importantly, going forward, what are the challenges in terms of the medical issues that seafarers, especially the young ones, are likely to face?
Thank you, Captain Karnad. Since I started my practice in maritime medicine 45 years ago, the first change that I saw in lifestyle of the general population, including seafarers, is the advent of the video, 1980. It changed the entire lifestyle overnight, I would say, jam sessions, watching movies. It was such a novelty. And then COVID. It changed everything during COVID with home deliveries, junk food, 10-minute deliveries we see now. So there's no activity. Of course, India is the capital of diabetes. It is our genetic composition. It is our lifestyles. It is our food. It's our high glycemic index, the nutrition that we have. It has all contributed to diabetes. We have hypertension. That is genetic also. Is also contributed a lot by lifestyle. So obesity is one of the most emerging issues that we face, and that is what has changed and come to the surface, which is at the core of both these non-communicable diseases, hypertension and diabetes.
Thank you, Dr. Belani, for this illuminating insights. And incidentally, I'm going to address a couple of maybe one elephant in the room a little later, and let's see how it goes. So, coming to Captain Naresh, you heard, the risks from the medical professional point of view. So, from the perspective of, the risk cover, uh, how do Indian seafarers compare with other nationalities in terms of, these statistics? Do you have any insights to that? And are allied question, are increased number of diagnostic and medical tests actually a solution? What is the balance to be struck?
Yeah. Good morning, and thank you, Shaukat. Thank you, FSM, for giving this opportunity. Also, I'm very grateful that I'm, sitting next to Captain Budwal because he was my chief officer when I was a cadet. So sharing the same stage with him is quite emotional to me. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now, coming to the question, see, I will talk first about the underwriting part of it. We are dealing with almost 9 to 10 IG clubs and fixed premium clubs. And when we share a risk, we have to share the nationality of the seafarers which are on board. And I'm very happy and elated to say, once we say there are Indian seafarers, there's no further questions asked, and it is termed as a good risk. So Indians are most welcome as far as risk is concerned, basis on the competency, basis on the training, and basis on the output which they have given to the maritime industry as such. Now coming to the claims part, the crew claims are generally divided into three parts. One is illness claims, the second one are injury claims, and third, because of the injury or illness, it can come to a permanent disability or death. And if we divide these into 100%, we will say 60 to 65% are illness, 30 to 35% are injury, and about 3 to 5% will come into death compensations. As far as where Indian seafarers are termed, I would say moderate. Most we will see illness claims than the injury claims because we have most Indian officers than ratings. Comparatively, Filipinos or the other Southeast Asians, they have more ratings. So the injury claims are comparatively less, and that attributes also to the training and the kind of workforce, talented, competency workforce we have. Illness, yes, there are some cases, and I'm just coming to the second question. PEME, a good PEME and following the loss prevention of the clubs will certainly mitigate or lower the crew claims on the illness part. But at the same time, extensive PEME can give some kind of false alerts also and some follow-up, which we need to balance with different risk mitigation. Like on board, we need to have a proper medical inventory. We need to train the people for the first aids and how they act and behave on board with the working conditions. So only extensive PEME may not help, but proper risk assessment with all the other things as per the company SMS will certainly help that.
Okay, thank you, Naresh. Thank you so much. Coming to Captain Budwal, you are on the operational side and you face a medical sign-off. So what are the issues and disruptions which your company faces, whenever there's an illness, injury, or death on board? And the elephant in the room, number one, is, in your experience, do you think all cases of medical sign-offs are genuine?
Good morning, everyone, and congrats to Shaukat to really have such a great setup. Coming to the point, yes, whether it is illness, whether it is injury, or maybe a death case, it puts an immediate impact on the crewing activities. And when I say that, there are different aspects to it. The first one I would really say is it really changes the planning of the crew. There's medical emergencies, they may lead to deviation of the vessel. It could be an evacuation of the seafarer, or it could be a last-minute sign of due to the candidate being unfit. The second aspect of this is that it will also result in non-compliance if the seafarer is part of the safe manning. Then you have last-minute issues with regards to dispensation with flag. And the third one I would really like to say is the impact of injury or death which can have, the seafarer on board can have, is beyond imagination. So we have to really ensure that we carry out a good screening, but I would really request come back again to Naresh regarding that part when he says that extensive screening can really cause some hampers, and maybe Dr. Belani would be able to really put some light on that. But for sure, it impacts crewing in a major, major way.
And the elephant in the room? You can pass it if you feel uncomfortable.
Can you repeat that second one? I didn't...
Medical sign-offs are all genuine? Are they 100% cases?
I think in my experience of late, we have been noticing there is an increase in the number of medical cases, more so on the personal and very few on the psychological part. But yes, there is an increase, and we have been seeing this more on the personal front. Quite a lot of them, rather.
Thank you for being so candid. And before I come back to circle on these topics, I would like to get in the view, when somebody is handling at the end of this case, not towards the end, in the ports. So Dipti, what has your experience been, particularly from the port agency perspective? What are the biggest challenges? And a difficult aspect, I believe, is handling, especially in Indian ports, the relatives next of kin who come there to collect a deceased seafarer's remains.
Okay. From Indian agency perspective, there are three biggest challenges. First is communication, coordination, and logistics. So, in medical cases, there is tremendous time pressure, first of all. And as an agent, we have to coordinate with multiple stakeholders at the same time, like immigration, customs, PHO, CISF, and foreign crew member cases with FRRO, then hospitals, ship management companies, master. And all these stakeholders have their own procedures and documentations. I understand that all these procedures, documentations are important for compliance, but in emergency cases, it can slow down the process. Second, communication gap. So sometimes what happens is ship owning companies or ship management companies are sitting in different time zone and vessel is in different time zone. So waiting for cost approval, waiting for vessel deviation approval takes time. Sometimes what we have observed is people don't have a full medical history readily available. That, again adds up into loss of time at hospitals. And in logistic perspective, if vessel is in anchorage, then moving sick crew to the shore depends on launch availability, then safe tide, sea condition, limited night services at some ports. So all these are challenges, what we face. And second question, handling families is very difficult and emotional for us because families are in shock and they are looking for answers from everyone. And when actually we are not involved in that scenario, but we have to answer the difficult questions. Why this happened? Why this person was not evacuated earlier? And then sometimes you don't have answers for this. And our approach is to keep transparency and have empathy.
Thank you so much, Dipti, for sharing that. I think this, so far, the first round has brought about, how many stakeholders, how many people, where all it is impacting, and we may not really realize what the situation actually encompasses. So finally, we come for, in the first round, of course, to Mr. Hirendra. So as a seafarer, you're still sailing, when you go for a medical, I've been a seafarer, I've been sailing. Whenever you go for a medical, there is a trepidation. What if you're declared temporarily or permanently unfit? So can you just describe what it is from a seafarer's point of view for those of us who are seafarers and have forgotten that phase?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. And thank you, FSM, for the opportunity. Thank you, Captain Shaukat. For me, I will offer you a slightly different perspective. I was actively sailing till about 4 or 5 years ago. And within the last 5 years, I have transitioned to doing business ashore. So that joining and that jitters before the medical, that is sort of faded away. But I believe every seafarer goes through that. When you are home during your vacation, you tend to be a little bit relaxed. Your lifestyle is not so active. And then getting back to work, going away from family, plus growing through that medical examination, that makes everybody nervous, I guess. But the main point is, I believe during your vacation also to try to keep yourself as active as possible. That would kind of reduce the nervousness a bit more, I guess. Yeah, I think that should be adequate. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Dhirendra. And I think as seafarers, we don't realize it, but annually we are actually getting a checkup, which in other sectors people neglect to do that. So we are actually monitoring our health quite efficiently without realizing it. So that brings me back to Dr. Belani, the point raised here earlier, and also an elephant in the room, which is, we have pressures. You have a certain rank or a certain seafarer who has to join, and at the last minute, unfortunately, there is some fitness-related issues. And there may be a little pressure कि नहीं कुछ कर सकते हैं. So this is going to raise a lot of uncomfortable thoughts, but I think that's where a good debate starts. So how do you handle it? And just a quick one, that also impacts, when he or she is declared unfit on the mental state. So how does this pan out?
So from a seafarer's viewpoint, no seafarer comes to our clinic assuming that he would be declared unfit, whether it's temporary or permanently unfit. So that's a big challenge. Everybody comes to the clinic as I was speaking to Captain Mehta in the morning, with the ISM code, there's a tick, tick, tick. There's another thing to do, a medical examination, tick, done. So that's not how actually it is done, with the PNI clubs having come in to play. The enhanced PEMI examinations have cut down our repatriation rates. And we do come across situations where there's an urgency and somebody has to be on board. There are parameters which are out of sync, out of range. We take a holistic view. If it is a calculated risk, we advise the manning agents, the ship owners, and counsel the seafarer. And we see a historical record. If the seafarer has been visiting our clinic, we have a historical review of the data. And if he has done well in the past couple of years or a few years, we would let him go with a limited period of fitness, a validity, so the industry keeps running and we mitigate the risk to the best that we can do.
Thank you so much, Doctor. And back to you, Naresh. One of the aspects over here nowadays we hear are so many missing at sea cases. And that's, I think, a very complex case. You don't have a closure for the family or for the company or for, for the matter, any stakeholder. So is there any trend that you see there, and how are I know you're not really into the claims part, but how are these handled?
Well, missing cases are rare, but they are reality. So they are happening. And we are also dealing with a case right now, which I will touch upon later. So first we need to find out why this missing cases or what are the causes. Some cases can be straightforward, like man was working and there's a man overboard. So it can be work-related thing. And you do your search operations and you're not able to find, and then you find him missing. It can be some alcohol-related cases. It can be a suicide. It can be some criminal activities, or it can be something which is completely unknown. There is no witness, so we don't know. So these are the 5-6 cases where a missing thing can say. One thing which I have seen in my 6 years or also in crewing is that the clubs are very compassionate towards missing cases. The trend-wise, we can say that, mostly it is deck crew who is having this because of man overboard, they're working like pilot ladders, these kind of things. There have been some ratings also, some suicide cases also which we have seen. Age bracket which we have generally seen these cases happening is, say, 25 to 35, if I have to just shorten it. That is the age what we are talking about. Now, I will just give you a practical example when I say the clubs are compassionate. So we are dealing with a 24-year-old deck cadet man overboard cases. And what we have seen is that after the search operation, the body is not found. But with whatever they informed the flag, we informed all the relevant parties. And the club is now okay to give the claim, but they need a presumed death certificate from the authorities, the local authorities. But the family is not willing to accept that their son has died. So they say, he has gone somewhere, maybe he has, swam and reached somewhere, and he is alive. So the family is not assisting to have that local authorities' contribution to get that certificate. And because of that, even if the club is willing to pay, the claim is not getting settled. So we have seen these kind of cases also. But generally, many, like I'm doing P&I claims and also some other claims which are not directly P&I but crew claims, like Mayfair is there. So Mayfair, we are working. So generally, we say that if a seafarer is not found within 12 months, then we term it as a death case, and the death compensation will follow, and all the related costs will be paid by the P&I.
Yeah, thank you. And I think it's not only just, operational or financial. There's so much of emotion and, the family. That aspect also needs to be, looked at into this. Yeah.
So in this personal case, we have personally flown, like not I, but my claims team have personally flown to Visakhapatnam to meet the family, to make them understand that, okay, you should assist the local authorities, get the certificate, and go on. But they are still not willing to accept. And it's a very fragile situation, very sensitive situation for us to, deal with these kind of things. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And Captain Budwal, for your crew who are, okay, they're declared fit and all, do you have any, what would you suggest would be good activities or actions that shipping companies could take to, have some intervention where you ensure that the seafarer's health is in good condition? Is there any such thing that can be looked at, or what are the options?
So the options, as I would say, is the approach that the company is having towards seafarers. To start with, it should change from a reactive to a preventive strategy. It should not be that we should be looking at only that the seafarer is fit to fly. As the title itself says, that fit for duty. It should be, you should assess is that fit for risk. The risk that he is being on particular type of ship, the environment that he is going on board, and there could be a lot of aspects which are there. And Dr. Belani has rightly highlighted this. To start with, you should have a very good, robust pre-employment screening. You could utilize the data, especially for your existing seafarers who are there, to really analyze whether they are having, okay, you cannot have everyone 100% fit, but there are cases where you have to really draw a line and see whether we can really send this person on board taking precautions. Once the person is on board, okay, some workshops, mental health workshops, which are being done by majority of the companies, and everyone is into that. Maybe providing telemedical services for last minute help which can be provided so that things can be taken care of. What I would really say is we should ensure that the guy understands that he is going on board with an intention to work. But he should not be coming back in a situation wherein, as he said that he's been 5 years, he's not been able to, okay, he's not joined sea, so he's not coming into that picture of whether a person gets unfit or not. But when a person is coming to the clinic, he should be clear in his mind that, yes, if I'm going on board, I should be fit. Fit for the ship, fit for the risk, that is.
Okay, thank you. And Shaukat, how are we for time? Shaukat? No, but okay. Yeah, so we carry on. I think this topic is, how are we for time? Okay, no, but I think we need to have some questions also, but I would there is just one thing which I wanted to ask Dr. Belani. Psychometric testing. This is, we are talking about the physical aspect, but are the youngsters of today really able to handle the situation on board? So do we have any standardized, some companies use Thomas International, which is made for some other industries. I'm just throwing names, please don't mind. But do we have, what do you suggest?
The standard practice in maritime industry is MMPI. It is not an objective test, unfortunately. No psychometric testing is objective. When we have seafarers who address the questions, we have found their attitude and approach to these testing is very, very, I would say they're not serious about it. I don't want to put an adjective other than that. I've had a cadet who filled out an MMI questionnaire in an auto. It was so surprising, and the results were absolutely inconsistent. We had to re-evaluate him. It caused a hiccup with the manning agency. It caused delays. So it's not really a subjective, it's only a subjective test, not objective. A person who's got a psychosis or a psychometric disease, if he's in remission or she is in remission, the test would return as normal. A person with a psychosis under medication would also return a test which is normal. So these are the fallacies of the psychometric test, and we have to take it in a stride. But in spite or despite this, at first point of entry, a psychometric testing is very important to see what is the personality and how is the mindset for a person to go on such a career which is detaching oneself from the family, a social network, and it's a lot of hard work to do on board.
Thank you, Doctor. Of course, in the interest of time, we do need to wrap this session up. I'm sorry if I've missed out any points, but we would like to take a couple of questions from the audience. Please state your name, organization, and keep the question brief. If possible, no kind of a prologue or something like that. Thank you. And to which panelist you are addressing it to. Yes, I think we'll take one from a cadet also.
Good morning, everybody. I am Dr. Babita Angle, a DG-approved doctor, and we are from Vida Clinics, Goa, a Seabird associate. Sir, I have many. My question is to Dr. Belani. So we have often seen that. Not often. Sometimes we have seen that a patient's TMT is positive. Now, a TMT being positive has got, it could be positive, it could be false positive, it could be positive in hypertensives. There are multiple reasons why TMT is positive. So when you refer this patient to an angiography, after his TMT being positive, angiography comes normal or it is negative. In such a scenario, plus he is a high-risk case, some changes are there in the ECG. So, sir, every time he comes, because once a TMT is positive, it remains positive for various reasons. So, how often do you subject, and he keeps insisting that meri angiography to normal thi, why should I subject myself to any other further investigation? So, how often do you ask for any more investigation if he comes twice, thrice? What is the time frame that you look at to make this person fit at his duty?
Thank you for this question. Very technical, but an interesting one. A TMT positive will remain positive, and we know there are false positives and false negatives also to the extent of up to 20%. So TMT is not really a very reliable test, but it's a good screening test. So we're going further. If it is a coronary CT angiogram with a calcium score, and if it is clear, I would say once every 2 years. If we are doing an invasive coronary angiography, it is clear there's a most objective testing once in 5 years. So because there's a high risk, and we Indians are at a very high risk of cardiovascular disease. So these are the standards that the PNI clubs have set. They are not in black and white, but when we meet at various symposia, these are what is discussed. Coronary CT angiography with calcium scoring, with lipid profile, the extended lipid profile with, again, technical apolipoprotein A and B with LPA normal, yes, once every 2 years. But if lipid profiles are abnormal, for which the seafarers say, there's no problem, I have no issue, why are you holding me back for a lipid profile? But that's the highest risk, I would say, to generate and accelerate heart disease. So 2 years coronary CT angiogram with calcium scoring, with an extended lipid profile, invasive coronary angiography once every 5 years.
Thank you, doctor. One question from a cadet. Yes, the lady.
Institute of Maritime Studies, Goa. My question is to Dr. Belani. Sir, talking about the mental health and the analysis which is done through psychometric tests. Tests like thematic appreciation analysis and also talking about situation reaction tests. How much they can imply and can analyze the psychology of a cadet who is getting into this profession, and on the base level, if we could analyze potential talents out there, we can have a longer run and the longevity of their career with respect to the mental health will be, in comparison, others will be better.
Thank you for a good question. No test is valid forever. If it is normal today, doesn't mean the person will remain normal forever. We have a validity on our certificates for 2 years. Well, that's what the MLC has set up. But when I issue a certificate for 2 years, there's always a doubt whether the person will remain as good for the remaining 2 years. Same for psychometric testing. There could be triggers which could upset anybody's mentality and cause, if there is an underlying disease, cause a major upheaval. I hope that addresses your question.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I think, I'm getting signal from Shaukat. That's about it.
Can we take a question from the lady cadet?
Yeah, the
please?
lady cadet. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, she was the first one to raise her hand.
last question.
Good morning, sir. I am Cadet Riddhi from Ganpati University. My question is for any of the captains. As the rate of suicide cases are increasing and the coming generation is very sensitive to mental wellness or anxiety. So if a person on board is having issues of mental unwell-beingness, so how does the crew or anyone deal with it? So this is my question.
I think Captain Budwal.
Yes, I would like to answer this one. If you, as a cadet, if you come across something which is really causing some concern to you with regards to the work culture that you have, with regards to some sort of bullying that you may encounter, or with regards to some sort of harassment that you may have come across, you should immediately approach your seniors. Of course, you can approach your family members as well, but the first point of contact is your senior so that he can try to resolve it, and if it's still not been resolved, then it can be taken up further, rather than waiting over a period of time for things to really go wrong.
Thank you, sir.
I hope this answers your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, I think that wraps it up for the day. Thank you so much to all my fellow panelists, and my apologies if some of you didn't get more opportunity to speak, but I think we covered a lot of topics and a lot of, I think, educative perspective that came about, especially, I think, some of the medical aspects of it. So thank you once again to the audience for patiently listening and contributing with questions. Thank you so much. Thank you.
We thank the entire panel. We request you to please be on stage. And I would like to call upon Captain Rohan Hiranchal and Captain Aniket Pradhan to please join us on stage and felicitate our panel with us. Please join us on stage so that we can felicitate the panel.